Welcome to FAAR Louder, your official association podcast.
What FAAR does for both its community and the agent members wouldn't be possible without our great committees. Today we're going to talk to Michael Brannon, the chair of the Tech Committee, to learn a little bit more about what they offer and how they're a resource for you.
Thank you, Mackenzie. I appreciate you having me on the FAAR Louder podcast.
Yeah, we're really excited to have you and to learn more about the Tech Committee. So can you tell us a little bit about what that is and what you guys do?
Certainly. So a group of us gather once a month and we talk about technology, obviously. But our goal is to try to make things useful for the committee and then ultimately for the community at large.
So you guys have done like specific things like covering how to make videos, but you're also covering some new topics, interviewing local officials, right? What are you guys doing with that recently?
That's right. We have been talking with various county officials about their broadband plans as well as what they've done so far in trying to increase the reach of broadband to bring it to more people.
Absolutely, and that's more necessary than ever. So it's probably been really helpful for your businesses to know what broadband's available where and what they're planning to do in the future. So thank you so much for helping move these issues forward.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's great to help our business so we know exactly what areas have it so we can communicate that to our clients. But we also want to push the county, if that's the right way to put it, to try and get these things done sooner rather than later.
Yeah, it's absolutely necessary. Everything is online now. We're becoming more virtual every day.
That is so true in every capacity.
So did you have any of the meetings that were like your favorite topics to cover?
I mean, I love talking about technology, new technology specifically. We get in there, we talk about the latest apps, and not just the new ones, but the ones that we're using and maybe using differently, or the new features. You know, there's a few. I won't shout out any of them right now, but we talk about those and how to use them in your business, the strategies to best implement those technologies as opposed to just, here's another piece of tech, have at it. We try to help people use those technologies to the best of their ability.
Yeah, and as a hands-on committee, you usually have your committee meetings, but then you usually have like a tech time afterwards that's kind of built into that, right?
We do. We have a great tech time, and we have a calendar that you can see on the FAAR website to see what topics are coming up. But we'd like you to join in the tech time, but also feel free to come to the tech committee so that we can increase the diversity and figure out more of what our members want to learn about.
If you're interested in getting involved or learning more about the Tech Committee, email Lauren Zuzza at lzuzza@farmembers.com. She'll be able to help you get started and to answer any questions you might have. Up next, we have a great segment with Kim McClellan, our Public Policy Director, as she interviews some leadership from Micah Ministries.
Everyone, I am Kim McClellan, the Public Policy Director here at FAAR, and I am very excited to be joined today by two fabulous ladies with Micah Ministries, who are doing wonderful housing work in our community. First, we have Peg Phillips, who is the Home Development Leader. I think I got that right for Micah. And Peg, just tell us a little bit about what that means. What do you really do every day?
I am in charge. Good morning, first off. I am in charge of the case management with Micah Ministries, as well as the housing locator, Josie. I also wear the hat of the income, in charge of the income department for Micah. So basically what that means is I oversee anything and everything to do with housing, from landlord liaison to case management of the clients to locating the property that we need for the clients going into housing, just all over housing.
Great. Josie is the community housing locator. So Josie's no stranger to FAAR. She has been a mortgage and was a member of FAAR. So it's nice to talk to you, Josie. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do for Micah? You're still on mute, Josie.
Sorry about that. Good morning.
Technology is great when it works well.
You've got to love Zoom. Good morning. As the community housing locator who services Micah, Ministries, as well as the Stable Homes Partnership, which is the umbrella under Micah Ministries, Thurman Brisbane, Shelter, Louisiana Hope House, as well as Empower House. So as their housing locator, it is my responsibility and my job to partner with landlords, property managers, private owners, basically locate housing, the inventory itself for our communities, to service and partner with case managers, which Peg Phillips manages, as well as the other leaders of the other agencies. We're servicing our homeless community. So I really am a support person to the teams to make sure that, for one, the landlords have been updated. I'm educating them on the programs that we have, as well as being an advocate to our community neighbors, such as our clients, as we would call them in real estate. They need someone to make sure that they're being guided towards fair housing, make sure that they know what area they're going into. So I consider myself the non-official realtor to our homeless community. And I take that very seriously, as well as the communication and the relationship with the realtors and property managers and landlords and all that good stuff.
Yeah, well, your job must be incredibly hard these days because inventory is obviously an issue all across the board.
Oh,
I think this is
goodness.
going to be a really interesting conversation for our property managers. So I know we were talking before we started recording that the last year has been a very uneasy time for everybody, but specifically to landlords. You know, am I going to get that rent check that will allow me to make my mortgage and pay for the maintenance on this home? So that has been front and foremost for a lot of our property managers over the past year. And what I love about these programs is this is so appealing, I think, for property owners to be able to work with an organization like yours to have that dependable stream of tenants who come with support, both financial support and with those sort of wraparound services. So I know we're sort of talking that inside baseball. So let's kind of go through the programs that you all offer, and what that might look like for the homeowner and the property manager to work with those programs. So I'll let either one of you decide who's going to start talking.
That would be me.
Right.
So I have, I mean, a whole buffet of programs that I can offer. It really depends on the interest and the availability. But let's just start with, because Peg Phillips, my leader, is here, specifically with the Micah Ministries or our singles. Let's talk about singles. Let's break that down, singles and families. So with our singles, we have a lot of different programs that is funded locally, federally, as well as state. And those would be such as for our singles with some disabilities and things of that nature, or need more permanent long-term care. We have our permanent support housing through Micah Ministries specifically. It's very different, but it's very special. I've been very fortunate to work on that this year with Ms. Peg. And our permanent support housing is a program where we offer services to a certain demographic of people in our community that have been disabled or have in need of housing or community services for long term. And we offer where we would put the lease in our name. We want to go ahead and service that client ourselves with mental services, health services, income services. But most importantly, with a lot of permanent support housing, the lease would be in their name. And, you become their landlord. With this permanent support housing specifically, you're our we become their landlord, but we rent to you as a property manager. So for one, the rent is guaranteed 100%. You don't have to worry about collecting that. The utilities are also in our name. So we really 100% are on board financially, as well as committed to the client as well.
Yeah, so I think that cannot be stressed enough. So it's just, I want to make sure I understand.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are partnering with Micah for this program, this permanent supportive housing program, Micah as the agency is on the lease, not the individual.
Correct.
So that relationship, that contract relationship is with the nonprofit, not with the individual.
Correct.
Which is amazing. I mean, that kind of connection and commitment from Micah has to put property owners' minds at ease if they're working with maybe a more challenging client who's coming out of the hospital or incarceration
Correct.
or something, where you can work so directly with that landlord. And then when that landlord has a problem or a question, they can call you all, right? You are
That's right.
available for that kind of communication.
Correct. Not only just one person, but you get a team of us. But most importantly, there's some things that you are restricted as a landlord. You can't tell them they can't have company after 9 p.m. You can't tell them they can't have overnight guests. That's why it's so important to partner with the agency that supports you and supports that client and the best that they can. And that's what this program allows us to do. Ms. Peg is leading this program, and her whole staff is very well educated, equipped, and they've been doing this for many years. And they're so successful that when the state gave out extra funds after all of this COVID, Fredericksburg was named specifically for this program to receive additional funding through the state. So I feel really confident that this program is not only successful, has been successful, but through this COVID time, as a landlord, I know that you've all been burned with people just camping out at the house or not paying, and this CARES Act, you really weren't protected the whole time. If you had this program, you would have never gone through that. Ms. Peg Phillips would have never allowed that. And we as an agency don't stand for that either. We take care of our community, and that includes our landlords as well. So that's just
powerful.
So that's just one of the programs. We also have our rapid rehousing, which under rapid rehousing, I service families as well as individuals, and also victims of domestic violence. And that funding is the funding is really specifically meant to be used for getting someone out of their situation, which is homelessness, as fast as possible, and then get them through our services, our community, get them the services they need, get them to where they're independent as fast as possible as well. So that funding for that client can be anywhere from 3 months to 2 years. And we disclose and we will communicate with the landlord every 3 months, letting them know how much of a subsidy we're going to give them, if 100%. And it can change because, you know, we become their community. As housing, if they fall short, if an illness comes about, unlike other tenants that don't have a mom or a dad to bail them out, they have us. Not that we bail them out, but we're their supporting system. We're the ones that come in, and if a child is sick for 2 weeks, we can't help that. But there shouldn't be a safety net for these. That's right. They shouldn't have to choose their child's health or their rent. So we are their support system. And again, we were very successful through COVID with that program. We had the keys for Christmas. We housed, we didn't quite hit 95 homes in 90 days, but we were close. And we did that as a community. I was very proud as my second year going into as a housing locator. It was really, really a proud moment to see how together we came, and everyone was supportive, and those families stayed inside through the holidays and after the holidays, and they're still inside. It's really exciting. That's the other funding program that I have. And I recently have been partnered with other leaders, and my servant leader, Megan Cotter, she brainiac, and she gets us involved in so many projects. If it has to do with the community, we're there. And I'm now part of a team to help assist with Section 8 vouchers, specifically our youth vouchers. That's a little different funding. That's not through rapid rehousing, but that is through housing, through HUD program. And we are familiar with Section 8. But what makes me excited about this Section 8 program is for particularly a group, a demographic of people that are between the age of 18 and 25, Kim. And these people have had to have been in foster care before. So they were in foster care, they turned 18, and we all know if we don't have a family and a community behind us, it could be hard. So imagine being a foster child, then you come out to the world at 18 years old without a village, without a backing. That's where we come into play. And we say, we've got a voucher for you for the next 3 years. And it's not just a regular Section 8 voucher. We're not just going to inspect the property, send you in there, pay the rent, and then hope you got it in 3 years. Doesn't work that way. We've all know that that's not been very successful. So what we're doing now is we're promising agency backing with each one of these voucher recipients. And Micah Hope House, and other agencies are owning these individuals, and we're becoming their village. I mean, it's a beautiful thing, but as you know, inventory is short.
Right. Yeah.
And they don't need just a one bedroom. Some of them have, been married. Some of them have started a family. So we need all scopes of inventory. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that when you think about, I've been not obviously involved in the housing choice voucher program, but have been close enough to it for years to know that these vouchers do not come around all the time. That when you have
right.
somebody who comes in and says, "Hey, I'm interested in it," I mean, it's a years long wait. So this is really incredible that
Yes,
you all
ma'am.
are having these. And I know that, I think about myself at 18, would I have been able to just start my life without my family and my friends as support? No. I mean, this is, you think about yourself at 18, it's hard
That's
to
right.
do that. And this is such a great opportunity. So that brings me to a question about inventory. Obviously, this is not something that the realtors need explanation on. They are feeling it every day across
I
every
know
price
it.
point with every buyer that they have. But specifically for you all, what kinds of housing are you looking for? Size, right? Are they sharing homes? Are they all together? What kind of homes are you looking for? And is there a specific geography? So some of our property managers who are listening can maybe be thinking about their property owners that they represent. And, might this be a good fit? So kind of what those two things, what kind of homes, and then where are you looking, if there are any specifics?
Well, right now, if you look, I mean, I'm sure with us as professionals, the average one bedroom is like $1,500 here in Fredericksburg. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And my leader, Peg Phillips, has taught me that if we can get rent just a little bit lower, we can help just one more person, two more people. So affordable housing is hard. For permanent support housing, those are for individuals or Micah, or any single person. We need a one bedroom. Miss Phillips has led her program that has been successful when they've been one bedrooms for our permanent support housing, so we can truly focus on the healing of that person and be structured that way. So a one bedroom is needed. As like I said, one bedrooms are hard to find right now. We just don't have a lot of them. We keep building new construction, but there's not many one bedroom studios in there. So one bedrooms are definitely needed. We like to keep our guests who don't drive close to the bus line. And not only close to the bus line, let's think about the community that we're giving. We have mental health services. So we need to be close to the, maybe the health department or RCSB. Need to be close to the hospital. So with that being said, again, 22401, 22407, 22408. Some parts of Stafford might be okay. We just don't want to send them all the way to Caroline, because there's just not a lot of transportation out there.
Right. Okay.
That could be a barrier in public transportation. Until we can improve that, we definitely want to keep them close to the city of Fredericksburg, which is where most of their doctors are from. And we want to make sure we still keep them in their services.
Okay.
So that's very important. And for our families, 2 and 3 bedrooms, we really don't need large homes. We just need, again, 2 to 3 bedroom that could fit a family of 3 to 4, so we do have some singles that through rapid rehousing, because they don't all have permanent support housing, that do become roommates. So some of those 2 bedrooms would be for our rapid rehousing individuals that are not married or have children. So
Right.
Again, from anywhere from a studio to a 3 bedroom. And some of our Section 8 voucher recipients, because they are younger and that not all have children, I've spoken with the housing specialist over at Central Housing, and she has educated me that a basement could work as well. So if you have a home and maybe your in-law suite, or children went away to college and didn't come back, and you have a basement with a kitchen, it just has to have a kitchen, a full bathroom, a living room with a window, and a bedroom with a window.
Right.
And they can't pay like a percentage of the utilities. It has to either be included or have a separate meter. So, for example, I'm speaking to an owner right now, a private owner that is able to do the basement. And she says, I'll just include a flat rate for the utilities. And I said, yes, ma'am. And she said, well, I have a door that goes upstairs. Oh, that's easy. We just have to change it so you don't have access to the basement. Because we want to, HUD specifies that the housing unit has to be theirs and only they
Right.
have
Their
access to it.
home. They need to
That's
feel
right.
comfortable in that property.
That's right.
Absolutely.
But I remember raising 4 kids. I always had an empty basement. It was their hangout spot. So
Right.
through COVID, if we want extra income, and you don't have to wait months to get qualified to be a landlord partner through Central Virginia. Those ladies are, the sense of urgency is just as well and equally portrayed, because they're approving people a lot faster.
Yeah.
I have a specific person in Central Virginia that if I have a landlord who has never rented through Section 8, I can make a direct introduction, and it's taken care of. It's no stress whatsoever.
So that's a great segue into my next set of questions is, let's talk about some of these processes. I know sometimes people may think this is a hard process to get involved in. It's going to take a long time for my house to get inspected. Once I'm in the program, do I still have autonomy over my units? And do I still get to, how does the tenant application process work? Can you walk us through a little bit of that?
Yeah, so the tenant application process in reference to all programs in general, or would anyone in specific, Kim?
I think that we talk a little bit about Micah's program and then certainly the Housing Choice Voucher Program.
Okay, so the vouching choice, I'm sorry, Section 8 voucher. I'm gonna butcher that name. I apologize. So that process, if you are interested, so we have to first make sure that you are an approved landlord and that your property can be approved. So we have a team at Central Virginia that we have the paperwork. We email it to you. It's very touchless, even in this time that we're in. I have a full package. We show interest. We get your property approved. We get you approved. And then once you're approved, then the tenant fills out whatever application you have, just like everyone else. If you have an application fee, that will be granted. If you have a residential application, that will be granted as well. And we work together with the client to apply for that. So it could take anywhere from a week to 2 weeks. It does not take longer than that. And that's we have to schedule the inspection of the property. We want to make sure it's compliant. And we want to do that right the first time. So once the property is approved, then the client applies, and then we get it done. The fastest one I've seen done is about a week and a half. And that was from application to inspection to a check check ready to give in hand to move the person in.
Yeah, that's a very reasonable time frame. Okay.
Absolutely.
And
I'd like to add about the inspections, because if I were a property manager or a homeowner, I would probably be a little bit wary of, oh my goodness, what are they going to find in my property? And I guess where I stand for that is that perhaps you've had tenants for years and have had different tenants in your property for years. You may not even be aware of what problems there are in that house. So having a fresh start with their inspection, which is quite detailed from what I understand, that is the property management and the owners really good way to look at it, is that you're getting a really good set of fresh eyes on your property so that you can address the problems that are there before they become big problems. So
yeah, that's a great point.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense. Know what you're dealing with, have another set of eyes and inspection, and have it done in a timely manner and get a tenant in there.
That's right.
Yeah, that's great. Okay. And what about, how do your programs work through Micah? Similar process or?
Through Micah as well as Louisiana Hope House. I don't want to make it seem like Rapid Housing is only Micah. We just happen to have the only leader from Micah right now. We have a great partnership. So with those units, if a landlord has interest in renting to us, they would come to me or any of our other housing locators. Me specifically, I inspect the property myself. My leaders have given me a standard and a checklist that I go by. I also do visual inspections in reference to lead-based paint. and will instruct if, anything comes up in that manner. I work closely with my landlords. So if I do see something, my process is a little bit different. So I have a checklist, and if some things come up that don't comply to our standards, we'll have a conversation. I have plenty. It'll be something simple like not enough smoke detectors, or the windows don't lock, and they didn't even know it. Like Peg said, sometimes you just don't even know. You don't know the house. You don't live in it. You just own it. So I go through it, make sure that, the filters are okay, make sure that everything is working order. I'm not looking for granite, stainless steel, Berber carpet. I'm not looking for HGTV perfect home. I'm looking for habitability. I'm looking for comfort, safety. For our clients, I'm their eyes and they trust me, and so do the agencies, to make sure that we're putting them in a habitable and safe home.
Absolutely. Yeah, that makes sense. I think that resonates with our property managers too. Even though they don't work for the tenant, they work for the landlord, but they do have a relationship with that tenant. They're the ones often that are going in and inspecting and, doing the move in and the move out inspections, and
Yes, ma'am.
getting the call from the tenants if there is something wrong. So they often, develop a relationship with those tenants. And a lot of times the owners they're not local. They don't
That's
live
right.
around here. So to know that there's, yet another set of eyes and ears in that unit, and, making sure that it's
Yes,
where they want to
ma'am.
protect their investment. That's great.
Kim, I haven't mentioned a very important part of our team, and I don't think people talk about them enough. And it's our housing navigators, who we also call case managers. They're not social workers. They're case managers, housing navigators. They walk beside me and beside me the whole time. From the moment that we locate an individual, to I inspect the home, that we go and show the home to the client, I meet the landlord. They're not quite there without the client. So they come in with the client. That's why I really want to brag about them right now, because I don't think people talk about them enough. They are the ones who are holding hands. So when they first move in and they have that 5-day inspection, the 5 days to find something wrong, or they have 5 days to do it. A lot of people don't even practice that or take advantage of that time because they don't know how to. That's where our housing navigators come into. They help them with that. They become the advocate. When they have questions that they feel that they should ask the landlord, the housing navigator comes in and says, wait, let's talk about what we're going to ask him. See if we can answer that ourselves. See if Josie has that answer before we go and take that extra step. Truly teaching them not only how to be a good neighbor, a good tenant, but just to understand the process itself. We equip them with education. So utilities, how do I turn the pilot on? Just those phone calls that you receive as a landlord that you're just like, man, where's their dad, or where's their
Hey,
neighbor?
realtors get those questions after people buy the house too.
No kidding. I remember.
We're not all born knowing how to do that stuff.
As homeowners, we know the struggle, and these are renters, and they haven't rented in a long time. So our housing navigators are angels on wheels, man. They really come in. They help with the utilities. They make sure that if nobody's answered the phone or the door, and neighbors have seen anybody come out, let's have somebody go out there and check on them. That's their fiduciary obligation. That's what they do. They make sure that our guests are okay. They make sure that no one that's not on that lease is staying in that home. I mean, they've got tricks to the trade that they've taught me. I'm talking about how many toothbrushes are in that bathroom. I know somebody's smiling right now that taught me that trick. And I couldn't be as successful. I couldn't wear my head on strong in this community if it wasn't for their work on the field. We wouldn't be successful without them. So I really want to stress the fact that they are on board and they are part of this process.
Yeah, I think so. What's really, been very strong for me over these years learning about your programs is that you're not just signing a contract in a lease. Mm-hmm. You are joining this community of folks really, doing great work and really making a huge difference. So yes, there are huge advantages for landlords in terms of, very little downtime on the market. If you have a client that's moving out, you don't need to sit there and worry about getting the photos, putting it on the MLS, doing all this. You can say, hey, Josie, okay, these folks are moving out. Do you have another client for me? And have very little downtime, which is huge, right? Time is money when you have
absolutely.
That's a big deal for the landlord.
Absolutely. If I can keep some of your marketing budget down, advertising, if I do my job correctly, as my leaders expect of me, you shouldn't have to call me and tell me you have a free unit coming up. I should know. And even if you tell me no this year, I just rented it out in June, I'm going to call you next year and say, hey, I remember that one we talked about a year ago?
Yeah.
We are that much in need of inventory.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're right. Please allow me to, I don't want to take the revenue away from the property managers. That's not what I'm trying to do. We don't run a property management company. But I definitely want to partner where there is no vacancies. We have zero gap of tenants in there.
Right. But what a great thing to tell your owners, right? I own this property, somebody's managing it for me, and be able to say, hey, I have made a connection in this community. I have created a partnership with, the Micah and the other agencies to keep your unit rented to the maximum capacity that we can. And that's a huge selling point for property managers.
Absolutely, Kim. I like to brag a little bit. And people will be like, why are you talking about that? But let me show you a story. We had a tenant, a client who we had housed. And unfortunately, the tenant was displaced for legal reasons. And the home, in a regular situation, that landlord would have had to clean out the apartment, take all the things out, and make sure they hire a crew to get all that stuff done. And that's probably going to take about a month. Well, our team jumped on board immediately. We not only made sure all personal things were taken care of and given to his family, but we went ahead, also cleaned out the apartment and put another family in there. That did not cost the landlord not one penny. Right. They did not have to clean out. They did not have to paint. We made sure we took care of everything, and we handed them a new tenant without any gap of time. I like to think that's a success story right there.
Oh, absolutely.
Because, and during COVID, let's mention during COVID.
Right.
And that's what we stand for. Nobody gets left behind. Nobody.
Right. And from a property management perspective, when we think about evictions, they're time consuming, they're stressful for all parties involved, but certainly, for the tenants. One of the benefits I think with this program is that you work to actively avoid that outcome. You address those problems before you're getting to the point where you're 3 months behind on rent and, maybe breaking other terms in the lease. These are things that you can deal with up front. Those individuals have support. So if they do experience a life event like a car breaking down or a medical issue, you can help them before it becomes a problem and before it becomes destabilizing for that tenant too.
That's right.
Moving around does not provide a stable environment for anybody
at all,
especially families with children. And
that's right.
It's really a great benefit for both sides.
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of us are working from home. Our neighbors are home more often. So we want to make sure we have good neighbors, and we'd like to be a part of that process.
So before we leave, I want to make sure that if people are interested in talking with you, even if it's just having an introductory conversation to say, hey, I don't know that I have any properties right now, but I know that I have them coming up in August and my homeowner is interested, how do they get in touch with you? What is the best way to find this information and to reach out to you?
Yes, ma'am. You can contact me via cell phone. My direct number is 540-760-3310. My email address is Josie, as my first name, JOSIE, at dolovewalk.net. And that's my email address. And also we have Stable Homes partnership Peg, can you help me? Is it .org or .net? I apologize. I'm sorry.
.org.
.org. StableHomesPartnership.org. We are under, our program is under the Continuum of Care here in Fredericksburg. But best thing to do is just call me. Let's have a conversation. Ask me anything. I do come with references, property managers, private landlords, and private owners and landlords. Even apartment complex, we have a good reputation. We have a great team. So no question is a dumb question. So just give me a call. Let's just get this started. I love coffee, so we can have a conversation over coffee on Zoom.
Yes. I ran into Josie at Italian Station, so maybe
that's right.
There, they've got some great stuff. Well,
yes,
thank you, lady. Peg, Josie, this was great information. We will
Thank
make
you,
sure that we
Kim.
get this out to our members, and we know that this is such a challenging time on the inventory side. And maybe if, we've got some folks who have some homeowners who are interested in participating, we can just, make that pool of landlords just a little bit bigger for you all to be able to reach into. So,
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kim, and everyone. Have a blessed one.
All right.
Thanks. You did a good job, Josie.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of FAAR Louder. Find more resources at faarmembers.com.